This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so the agenda for today will be 4 important points. And before that, can any one of you please confirm that am I audible? Can any one of you please confirm quickly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So let me write down the agenda quickly. The first point is we will be discussing about the concept called what is performance testing, because that's the main point, right? Okay, what is performance testing and why LoadRunner, okay, and its architecture. Okay, and the third point is the course content. Okay, course content. And before that, before course content, we will discuss about some. We will discuss about a small practical example of a recording. Recording a script. Okay, and then the course content, and then the Q&A part. Okay, so these are the points that we'll be discussing today. So first thing is what is performance testing? So basically, let me open the slide. Okay, so generally, you know, when it comes to software testing, it is mainly divided into two things: the functional testing and the non-functional testing. So some of you are aware, like, you know, you might be from manual testing also, some of you guys, and some of you guys from might be, you know, completely new to IT. So that's fine. So basically, software testing is divided into two things, like, you know, the functional testing and the non-functional testing. So functional testing means testing the functionality of the application. So let's say let's say there is a there is a bank application. Okay, so if I ask you to test the login of that application, if I ask you to test the login of that application, login means like you enter some username, you enter some password, and you click on login button, and once you enter a valid username and password and you click on login button, you are verifying that the functionality, that means whether you are able to log in successfully or not. So that is the functional testing. You are testing the functionality part of the application. So there are different types of testing that comes under functional testing, like regression testing, integration testing, like uh, like there are some of the tools which supports automation of the functional testing, like Selenium, UFT, and so on. Okay, so functional testing is all about testing the functionality of the application. When it comes to non-functional testing, here we are testing the non-functional aspects like performance, security, usability, etc. So the performance is key here for us. So within non-functional testing, we have this performance testing, and the tools, some of the tools we use, most widely tools we use is the LoadRunner and the Jmeter, etc. We have other tools also, but the most widely tools used that we use are LoadRunner and Jmeter. Okay, so let's say you have an application, guys. Let me open the Internet Explorer. Let's say you have an application, okay, where you need to provide some, where you need to test the login functionality. Okay, let me open a small sample application. So let's say you have this sample application. So for this sample application, okay, for this sample application, when I enter some username and password, okay, when I enter some username and password and I click on login button, what is happening? I'm successfully able to log in, okay, and I'm navigated to the home page successfully. That means I'm on the home page now. That means the login is successful. That means the login functionality is working fine. What did we do now? We just tested the functionality aspect. We just tested the functionality aspect. The login functionality aspect we have tested. But as a performance tester, we are not much interested in this. As a functionality, as a performance tester, we are not much interested in this. What is a performance tester more interested about? That is how fast the user is able to navigate to this page. Okay, I entered username and password. Okay, here you go again. I entered some username and password, and I clicked on login button, So when I click on login button, how much time it has taken to navigate to this page? How much time it has taken to load this page? That is the home page. That is where the performance tester is more interested about. Okay, we will anyhow validate the functionality internally, but that is not our main criteria. Our main criteria is how the application is performing. What is the application performance? How much time it is taking to load the pages? Okay, how much time it is taking to navigate from one page to another page, and so on. You understood, right? The main difference of functional testing and non-functional, the performance testing. Okay, functional testing is all about the testing the functionality of the application. Okay, so we are verifying the functionality, whether we are able to navigate or not is our primary criteria for functional testing. How fast we are able to navigate to the home page is the primary criteria for the performance testing. Okay, so performance testing is all about checking the performance of an application, how the application is behaving, how the application is responding. Okay, that is all about performance testing, guys. But here, what did we do? We just entered one username and password. We didn't do anything here. See, again, I entered one username and password, and I clicked on login button. So, okay, I'm able to log in. Now, if I test with one user, that means I just entered username and password, and I clicked on login button. So, if I want to know how much time it has taken for one user now, that is not actually called performance testing again. So you have to apply some load. That means there should be some load. That means we have to test the application for more number of users. So that means at a time, if let's say if 500 people are accessing this bank application, how, or this sample application, whatever it is, how the application is responding is all about performance testing. So performance testing is all about checking the behavior of the application, or checking the performance of the application by applying some load. That term is very important, guys. So if I write that particular definition over here, so simple definition, checking the performance of an application by applying some load, or you can also say under some load, is called performance testing. So it's very simple, right? So what are we doing here? We are checking the performance of an application. Okay, what do you mean by performance of an application? How fast the application is responding, how fast the application is loading. That is the performance of the application. Okay, checking the performance of an application by applying some load. What do you mean by applying some load? Applying some load means testing with multiple number of users. Testing with multiple number of users, like 100 users, 200 users, 300 users, something like that. Okay, by applying some load is called performance testing. Okay, so this is the performance testing definition, guys, in general. Okay, again, here, when there are different tools in the market, okay, which does the performance testing. Okay, like how we use Selenium or UFT for functional testing and functional automation. We do have different tools for performance testing also, like LoadRunner, Jmeter, NeoLoad, and so on. But the most widely used tools are LoadRunner and Jmeter. Okay, so what is performance testing? Now we are good. At least we got some idea, okay, of what is the performance testing. Checking the performance of an application by applying some load is called performance testing. So performance of an application means checking the speed of the application, how fast the application is loading, how fast the user is able to navigate from one page to another page. By applying some load means testing with multiple number of users. If you test with one user, that is not called as performance testing. You cannot say it as a performance testing if you are testing with one user. Okay, you have to test with multiple number of users. That's the reason we are saying by applying some load. Load means more number of people should access the application. Okay, so that's how it is. So for example, if you take a bank application, so generally bank application means, so more number of if you want to test a bank application, so you should make sure that you should have more number of users, that you should be able to test the performance of an application. So as part of bank application, what do you analyze as a performance? Let's say you want to check how fast the user is able to transfer money from one account to another account. Okay, or you want to check how fast the user is able to download a bank statement, or you want to know how fast the user is able to pay a credit card bill, so and so. So for every application there will be these sort of business scenarios which we need to test for performance. Okay, so okay, so I request all of you to make a note of the questions, okay, from whatever we have been discussing, and we will take all those questions at the end, as part of Q&A, right? So because we have some agenda, right? So we'll follow this. We'll take all those questions at the end of the demo session. Okay. So now we know what is performance testing. Okay. Then there is one important aspect that we have to cover, that why we need to do performance testing. So the goal of the performance testing is to find performance issues, or we call it as bottlenecks. In performance testing terminology, we call an issue as a bottleneck. Okay, so any issue, whatever the issue, let's say one page is loading very slow. You entered username and password, you clicked on login button, it is taking time, it's not loading the home page. So that is an issue, right? So that is called bottleneck. In performance testing terminology, we call it as a bottleneck. The goal of the performance testing is to find the performance bottlenecks rather than finding functional bugs. So that means we are not interested in finding the functional defects. We are not interested in finding the defects in the functionality aspect, but we are more interested in finding out the performance issues. That's what it means. Okay, so this performance testing will help client and other stakeholders, and all others, in understanding how the application might behave in production. So in production means where the end users will use, where the actual users will use the application. Okay, so before actual users use the application, we as a performance tester will test the application for performance and provide our observations to client, like how the application might run in production. Okay, that means we are testing this application before the actual user works on it in real time. So whatever the functional performance issues we find, we should be able to work with the development team and fix it. Okay, that's the second point. The third point is the main point. The performance testing ensures all the issues must be fixed before the application is deployed in production. That means before the actual user works on that application, the performance issues should be addressed and fixed. Fixed means resolved. Before the actual user works on that application, all the performance issues must be fixed and resolved. Okay, then what will happen if the performance testing is not done? Okay, for any application, take any application, what will happen if the performance testing is not done? So let's say that there is an application being developed, it is not tested for performance. What can happen? So if the performance testing is not conducted, then the applications might face problems like slowness, like pages loading forever, okay, inconsistency, and may result in business loss also, and may result in business loss. So if you remember, I don't exactly remember which e-commerce website it was. I think it was I don't remember exactly, like it was Flipkart or Amazon way back in 2014, I guess. So for the first time, they announced a big sale or a big billion day or a big sale offer. So what happened at that day is, on that day, generally on normal days, let's say 1 lakh users use the application normally. On that day, what happened? The number of users increased, by so many times, like 10 lakhs of 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, like that. But generally, the number of users, were only 1 lakh. But on that day, when they announced a big sale or something like that, the number of users increased by so many times. Such what happened at that point of time is, for the first time when they announced this, when they launched this concept called big sale or something like that, the application crashed. The application crashed when they announced. So many users tried to access the application, okay, and the application could not able to handle the load. The application could not able to handle the load and it crashed. That means it stopped responding. Okay, so similarly, there are many other instances, like I think many years ago, like a famous novel was being released online, okay, for purchase, and they also didn't expect that those many users will go ahead and purchase it immediately. So they didn't test the application, their particular functionality for performance. They released that into market, and so many users at a time tried to purchase that particular product, and the application crashed. So that's the importance of performance testing. If you do not test the application for performance, there are high chances that your application might face some real-time issues, like application slowness, inconsistency, okay, and definitely the business might end up in loss. The business might end up in loss. Okay, so nowadays, that's the reason every application is undergoing a performance testing phase before they actually deploying into production. That means before the actual users work on that application, every application is going under going along with the performance testing phase first. Okay, so recently we all know that pandemic has hit us very hard, right? So this, because of this pandemic, what happened, most of the users are trying to complete their tasks, okay, through online. It could be online shopping, it could be banking, online banking, it could be anything. The number of users accessing the applications online increased drastically, right? So it is even more important now, okay, for all the applications to undergo the performance testing phase before the actual users start working on that application. If you don't go with the performance testing first, the application might face issues related to slowness and actually might end up in the business loss for the client. Okay, so that's the reason performance testing is very, very important. Performance testing is very, very important. Okay, so this is about why performance testing. Okay, this is about why performance testing, guys. Right? So what is performance testing we have learned, and we have also discussed about why performance testing. What happens if performance testing is not done, we have discussed so far. Now the next point is we will discuss about the LoadRunner architecture. As I said, there are various tools in the market, like the most widely used tools like LoadRunner and Jmeter. So we will be, as part of this course, we will be learning the LoadRunner, the benchmark tool of the performance testing. Why I'm saying it as a benchmark tool of the performance testing? Because it is the only tool in the market which supports more number of protocols, first thing, and it is from a vendor. Okay, initially it was from Mercury, later it was taken over by HP. Okay, now it is under Micro Focus. So we'll discuss. Okay, we'll discuss the architecture first, and then we'll discuss some points when we compare with other tools. So let me share this slide for the architecture, and the architecture diagram of LoadRunner, we will derive it from some questions, based out of some questions. So let's say you have one application. Let's say it can be some bank website. Okay, one second. Okay, let's say we have a bank application. Now, if I ask you to test the bank application, what would you do? Or if I ask you to test the bank application with 200 users, that means what I want to do is I want you to apply some load to the bank application and test the performance. I want you to apply some load, okay, to the bank application, okay, and test the performance of it. Now, how do you test this? So, will you will you bring 200 people? Okay, will you bring 200 people and give them 200 laptops or desktops and ask them to sit at one place? Ask them to sit at one place and ask them to log in at a time and check the performance of the application. Can we do this? Can anyone tell me? Can we use this approach? I want
No.
to test the application. I want to test the application for performance. Okay, let's say it's a bank application. Now, if I want to test the application with 200 users, if I bring 200 people and assign them 200 laptops and ask them to sit at one place and access the application so that we can monitor the logs. So this is actually not possible. Even though if you think it is possible, it is very, very costly to implement, because we have to bring man resources. We have to bring the laptops and the hardware, okay, for support. All these things, it is very costly. We cannot achieve this directly. No, let's say if we can do this with 200 users. Let's say if you want to test with 2000 users. Now how can you bring 2000 people? You cannot bring. That means if you want to apply some load like 200 users or 2000 users, you cannot bring those people and to test it manually. That doesn't work. So there should be some component within the architecture which should help us in generating or simulating the virtual users for us. Okay, so the component should help should help us in generating or simulating the virtual users for us. That particular component is called load generator. Load generator. This component is responsible for simulating the virtual users. These virtual users are nothing but, okay, these virtual users are they actually mimic the human actions, like whatever the human do, like they enter username, they enter password, they log in, right? All these actions, these virtual users will take care of them. They will perform the execution. These virtual users will perform the execution for us. Okay, so these machines, the load generator is also a machine only, guys. So this load generator is a machine which will simulate those virtual users. So these are highly configured machines. These are highly configured machines. So we will discuss like how many users it will simulate, one machine, how many users it will simulate. We will discuss all these things in our upcoming session. But as on today, what I'm going to tell you is load generator is a component which is responsible for simulating the virtual users. Okay, so that is the main point. Okay, now we have a component which is responsible to simulate the virtual users. That's fine. Now there should be one more component using which we should be able to develop our scripts. Okay, why we have to develop our scripts? Let's say I want to test the bank application. What are the critical scenarios, guys? What are the critical scenarios for any bank application? It can be like transfer money from one account to another account. It can be downloading a bank statement. These are all critical scenarios, right? Right. So these scenarios we have to develop or record through the load runner only. So why we have to develop or record these functionalities? Because these users, whatever we are simulating, they have to go and execute those scenarios for us. Like, these users, what this load generator is simulating, they have to go and execute those scenarios for us. Like, user should execute transfer money, okay, scenario. User should execute like download bank statement scenario. Users should execute paying a credit card bill scenario, like that. Okay, so there should be some component which should be responsible to develop some scripts for us. Because when you want to test an application for performance, we have to we have to test these scripts. Okay, we have to test the performance of these scripts. Okay, test the performance of these scenarios. Which scenarios? Like transfer money, like paying credit card bill, downloading bank statement. I'm just taking an example of bank. Okay, so that component which will help us in developing the scripts is Fusion. Okay, so using this component, we will develop our scripts. That means for all the scenarios, what we get for all the scenarios, like transfer money scenario, okay, paying credit card bill scenario. For these scenarios, we have to develop the flow. We have to develop the flow or develop the scenario. We'll see that. Okay, so these are so load generator is a component which will simulate the users or which is responsible to generate the users, virtual users. Fusion is a component which will help us in generating the script so that the users can go ahead and run those scripts. Okay, now we have these two components. The next component is, okay, we have users ready, we have scripts ready. Now there should be some component which should help us or which should be responsible to trigger the execution. So whatever the scripts we developed, right? So there should be some component which should trigger the execution. So that particular component is called controller or performance center. Controller or performance center. So this component is used to trigger the execution. Once you execute the scripts or once you execute, let's say once you execute some kind of load test or something like that. Okay, once you execute some performance test, you should be able to analyze the results, isn't it? Execution is not only the thing, right? After that, we should analyze the results. We should provide our observations to client and so on. Then only client will decide what exactly is happening. Okay, so after execution, the next component that comes is analysis. This component is very powerful component which will definitely help us in analyzing what went right, what went wrong, how the application performed. Okay, so the different components that are involved in the load runner architecture are load generator, which is responsible to simulate the virtual users, Fusion to generate the scripts, controller to trigger the execution, or performance center to trigger the execution. Analysis is to analyze the performance test results. So this is the high level information about the load runner architecture. Okay, these are the important components. So once you install the load runner, you should be able to see directly these three for sure in your machine. So this will anyways be there, but I'll tell you again, in our upcoming sessions. So load runner architecture contains these components for sure. And there will be one more component called agent process. which acts as a bridge between these two. We'll discuss again in our upcoming session. Okay, that is called agent process, which will act as a bridge between these two. So why it should act as a bridge between these two and so on, we'll discuss later in our upcoming sessions. I'll explain you clearly. Okay, so on a high level, this is the load runner architecture. Okay, load generator, view gen, controller or performance center, analysis. Okay, so now we understood. Okay, we know what are the components that are involved in the load runner architecture. Related to this particular concept, if you have any questions, please make a note of them and keep it handy. At the end of the session, we'll discuss in detail the question and answers. Okay, I can refer to this slide again later if required. No problem. So without any delay, we'll move on to the next point in our agenda. A practical example of recording a script. Like um, we just discussed that the component that is responsible for generating or recording a script is ViewGen. ViewGen. What it does? It will help us in recording the flow. What do you mean by flow, guys? For example, if I ask you to test the login functionality of an application, if I ask you to test the login functionality of an application, okay, what are the steps that are involved? First step is launch the application. Launch the application. Second step is log into the application. Third step is log out of the application. Right? If I ask you to test the login functionality of the application, so these are the three steps involved. This is the flow. For example, if I want to test the download bank statement scenario, download bank statement. So what are the steps that are involved? Let me write quickly here. In short, let me write. So first one is launch the application. Second step is login. Third step is uh, navigate to savings account. Right. Fourth step is something like select date range. I'm just giving some example. Fifth step is click download statement button. Right? Click download statement button. Sixth step can be logout. So if you want to test the performance of a download bank statement scenario, this is the flow that you need to record. This is the flow that for which you need to generate the script. Right? So if you want to test the login functionality, this is the flow. These are the steps for which you need to record the script or you generate the script. Okay, so let's go ahead and generate the script for this particular step, this particular functionality, login functionality, and understand the script at a high level. Okay, so what is the component that we use for recording the script or generating the script? ViewGen. We will record these three steps now for the sample application called WebTours. Like whatever the sample application we have here, for this application, we will record the three steps: launch, login, log off. Okay, so let's launch the component called ViewGen first. So the component which is responsible for generating the script is called ViewGen. Let's launch that component. How do you launch the component? Is once you install that LoadRunner, if you in the search, if you type ViewGen, it will automatically populate. See here, ViewGen, virtual user generator. This is the component which is responsible to generate the script. Let me click on it. So it's launching ViewGen. Okay, so as soon as you launch the ViewGen, you will see this particular screen where, okay, for time being, where we will click on file, new script and solution, new script and solution. Here, because we are currently working on web application, so here we choose web HTTP HTML. Just enter the script name here. So let's say script name is demo. Okay, so instead of 8 a.m. February, so let me create a new folder. Okay, let me create a new folder where I want to save that. So let's say I will create as 8 a.m. April. Okay, new folder. Okay, so I'm creating, the script name what I have given is demo, and the location is this, and directly click on create for time being. Click on create for time being. As soon as you click on create, okay, as soon as you click on create, you will be seeing this particular screen like this. It will be like this. So this is the space where the script will be generated. Where the script will be generated, whatever the steps or whatever the flow that you record, the script will be generated over here. And there are different options over here which we'll discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to record these 3 steps. What are the 3 steps? Launch, login, and logout. Launch, login, and logout. So here there is an icon using which we should be able to trigger the recording of the flow. If you click on that, it will help you to record the flow. Okay, so what we do, we will click on this particular icon first. When you click on this icon, when you click on this icon, you will see this window. Okay, you will see this window where you are just selecting the browser. Okay, where you are just selecting the browser which you want to use while recording. Let's say I want to select Microsoft Internet Explorer, and this is the URL that you need to provide here. Okay, the URL. This is the a text box where you need to provide the application URL. What is the application that you are testing? That application URL you have to provide. For example, if you are testing some Isha Training Solutions.com website, so you have to give that particular website URL here. Okay, so the sample application what we are about to record, the URL for that application is this one, the localhost 1080 webtools index.htm. This is the application URL. Okay, this is the application URL. Now there are different options. There are different other options as well, which we'll discuss again in our upcoming sessions. For time being, not required. So I'm just selecting the Internet Explorer and providing the URL address or the application address, and click on start recording. Okay, keep in mind that we are recording 3 steps: launch, login, log off. So as soon as you click on start recording, you will be seeing a movable window. Okay, you will be seeing a movable window. So something like this, a movable window you should be able to see. Okay, and then at the same time, you should also be able to see some number which keeps on increasing, So no problem. If it is increasing, that's fine. It is for our good only. That means the ViewGen, the component, is able to record the application successfully. So when you start recording, you will not only see this particular movable window, at the same time, you should also be able to see the browser being launched automatically. See here, the browser is automatically launched with the given URL. This is the URL we have given while recording. Okay, and when you clicked on start recording, it launched the browser. At the same time, it is displaying this mobile window. Okay, this mobile window where we can see some number keeps on increasing. That's fine. It's good only. Okay, that means the ViewGen component is successfully able to record the application. Okay, so there are different options again here, which we'll discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. But for today, I would like to discuss this particular icon. this particular icon first and this particular icon which is currently disabled. So this particular icon is for starting the transaction. So why we have to start the transaction is, for example, I want to know how much time login is taking. So I have to create a transaction for that. I have to create a transaction for login. I have to create a transaction for logout. For whatever the step you execute, for whatever the step you record, you have to create a transaction so that Vusion will capture how much time it is taking for login, how much time it is taking for logout, and so on. We'll see that in some time quickly. So let's create a transaction for login, okay, because application is already launched. So the next transaction what we can create is login. So I'll say login. I'll write login here. I clicked on start transaction and I entered login and I click on OK. Now, once you start transaction, then go ahead and manually perform the login part. So enter username and password and click on login button. And then once you are on the home page, that is once the login step is completed, then wait for 3 or 4 seconds or 5 seconds. Then end the particular transaction by clicking on this icon. End the transaction. That means login is done. End it here. So click on this and end this particular transaction called login. Again, what is the next step? Logout, right? So start one more transaction called logout. Then click on OK and then go ahead and perform the logout transaction manually. That means click on this sign off button, and end the particular transaction here. Logout transaction here. Now we recorded all 3 steps. Launch, login, logout. All 3 steps are recorded successfully. Now click on this stop transaction. Click on this icon to stop the recording. Stop recording. It will completely stop recording and it will generate the script for us. See, it is generating the script for us. It is
Sir, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
sorry, by mistake it was I was on mute. Okay, so once you click on stop recording, okay, in the action tab over here, you should be able to see the script which got generated. So here, this is the script which got generated for whatever the steps that we have recorded. What are the steps that we recorded? Launch, login, log off. Now here, if you observe carefully, line number 18 says LR underscore start underscore transaction login. That means we are starting the transaction login. And if you see line number 37, it says LR underscore end underscore transaction login. That means we have ended the login transaction here. So what do you mean by that is whatever the code that got generated between start transaction of login and end transaction of login belongs to login. So here you see this is start transaction of login, this is end transaction of login. Okay, and this is the actual code that belongs to login. So how this code got generated, start transaction and end transaction? We have clicked on start transaction button and then we performed the action and then this code got generated and then we ended the transaction. I clicked on end transaction. So then this code got generated. So when you start a transaction, this code got generated. When you perform the actual action, this code got generated. When you actually end the transaction, this code got generated. Okay, if you scroll down further, if you see line number 41, LR underscore start transaction underscore logout. That means here the start transaction logout started. And if you see line number 53, LR underscore end transaction logout. That means whatever the code that is residing between start transaction of logout and end transaction of logout, this belongs to logout functionality. Logout step. This is logout step code. This is a login step code. Can anyone tell me what is this particular step then? It doesn't have any start transaction and end transaction, but it got generated here. What is this particular step all about?
Maybe lunch.
Yes, exactly. So why this start transaction, this particular start transaction is not or end transaction both, why they are not present for the launch is actually as soon as you clicked on start recording, the Vusion launched the browser. Okay, launched the browser along with the application directly. Then only we got that movable window where we actually inserted a start transaction and end transaction. So before that only this launch happened. That's the reason we did not see LR start transaction and transaction over here. So what we can do here is you can write on your own. If you want to know how much time launch is taking, you can write a start transaction and end transaction here on your own. So LR underscore start underscore transaction. Okay, so here you have to write like this. We'll discuss in detail again everything, but just know for your understanding, I'm writing this. Okay, so what is the name of the transaction? Launch. Okay, after this request, here at line number 14 or 15, you can write LR underscore end underscore transaction, LR underscore end underscore transaction. Okay, here you can write end, you should end it. Whatever the name you are giving, in the start transaction, same name you have to give in the end transaction also. This LR auto we'll discuss later. But whatever the name you are giving here, the same name should come here. Now both are different, right? That is wrong. That is wrong. So here you have to give launch only. Okay, because we have started the launch here, we should end the launch here. So now this belongs to launch. Now let me run this script once and we will see how much time it is taking. So before I run this script, let me make a quick change which we need not discuss for time being. Okay, that's fine. Now let me run this. Before running this, let me do a small change again. Okay, so let me run this script once. Whatever the script with that got generated. See, here you go. Once you execute the script, it says script is passed, and you see launch is passed, login is passed, logout is passed. Now it also says, this is the important one for us. It also says launch has taken 0.5 seconds, login is taken 0.3 seconds, logout has taken 0.29 seconds. Launch has taken 0.5 seconds, login has taken 0.31 seconds, logout has taken 0.29 seconds. So this is how the tool will help us in getting some results, like how much time each step is taking. We can figure it out. Okay, we'll discuss everything in detail, but this is how your script should be generated. This is how you need to work on the script. Okay, how do you record the script? Based on these steps. Who will give these steps to you? Either the application team or the business analyst or the development team will give you these steps for you. Okay, so you need not write on your own. They will give you these steps for you. Okay, so based on these steps, you need to record your script. Once you record it, okay, you can run it later. You can run the script in controller with multiple users, and you can see how much time it is taking. Okay, this on a high level, this is the component Vusion which is responsible for recording the application. So that is the practical example what we have seen. Okay, how do we record the script? We have just seen a small practical example. Then if you have any questions with respect to recording, please make a note of them. We'll quickly complete the course content in very few minutes. So let me open this slide for that. So this is all about LoadRunner. So within this LoadRunner also, first topic what we will be discussing is the architecture basics, like LoadRunner architecture, what is performance testing in detail, because if you're working on LoadRunner, you should have a very clear picture about what is performance testing all about and what exactly happens, what will be your day-to-day activities, what is the life cycle, what is the process that you follow in your project as part of your performance testing. Okay, all these things we have to be very clear. We'll discuss that first. Okay, as this is the course content agenda. Okay, performance testing life cycle and all. Then once you discuss everything about performance testing clearly, once we are good, then we will start about LoadRunner. If you see the fourth point, then we are starting the LoadRunner, how to install, and then what are the components, how do you record, what are the different features of in the Fusion tool, what we use for recording, and what are the best scripting practices, okay, while recording, okay, what are the best scripting practices while recording, what are the different runtime settings we have, what are the different settings we have in the tool to execute, okay. So, and then one second. And then we have some very important concepts like HTML recording versus URL based recording. Then we have checkpoints. Checkpoints is nothing but assertions. Like we have to validate something on the UI. Then we have to use these checkpoints. Okay, kind of assertions. Then introduction to C language. This is the most common question. Sir, how much of coding is required? Whether coding is required for performance testing or not. Okay, so that the answer to that question is yes. You need to learn the very basics of C language, especially if you want to work with especially if you want to work with LoadRunner. Okay, because that's the basic language what we use. So the very basics. So we will be covering like 4 to 5 days for C language only. The very basics, like what are the variables, data types, if statements, loops and conditions, functions, and so on. So these are very important for us to enhance the script, not only just recording, enhance the script so that it can be run with multiple users without any issues. So after recording, if there is any requirement to enhance the script, we should enhance by implementing the C language concepts. So that's the reason we will discuss the basics of C language for 4-5 days. Okay. Then after that, okay, we will discuss some important C language functions and LR functions, what we have. Okay, then some 1 or 2 points related to advanced C language, like how do we write some data to the file, how do we read data to the file, and so on. And then we'll discuss about real-time challenges in scripting, very, very important from interview perspective. Okay. And then we have one very important concept called correlation, which we'll discuss for 4 to 5 days again. Very important. Okay. Then we will discuss about parameterization. Parameterization is all about passing the test data, like passing the test data to your script. Okay. For example, if you want to log in, right, you need username and password. So that is test data. So how do you pass test data? Using the concept of parameterization. Okay. So till here it's all about recording or generating the script or scripting. From here, this is a controller which is responsible to trigger the execution, create a scenario and trigger the execution, create a scenario and trigger the execution. Okay, so that point. After controller, we will discuss about analysis. Analysis means how do after the execution, performance test execution, what went right, what went wrong, what are the different metrics we are getting. Everything we'll discuss in detail as part of analysis. Okay, after discussing analysis in detail, okay, so we will discuss these important points called analyzing results and providing observations. At the same time, drafting email with all observations to client. So you will never get it, guys, this point. So as a performance tester, once you complete the performance test, you need to provide all your observations to client very clearly. Okay, let's say you have to tell client that, hey, your application will support 200 users. These are my observations and so on. So what is that you have to write as part of the email? Everything we will draft it live. Okay, we will analyze the results. We will draft the email live, and I will share that email draft to you guys also. Okay, then we have a couple of sessions for interview question and answers. Okay, as part of this course, we will be practicing on multiple applications. Okay, some we will take some real-time scenarios into count, and we will develop scripts for that. Okay, based on that, and then we will practice scripting on multiple applications. Okay, then we will also discuss one concept called virtual table server. Okay, this is also a concept of handling data only. We will see that later. So these are the important points which we will be covering as part of course content, including interview sessions. Okay, and these are the bonus topics, guys. These are the bonus topics. So bonus topic in sense, so out of the box, like out of LoadRunner concepts, Okay, why we have to discuss this? Because nowadays these are also important from the interview perspective. So I just want to give some, I just want to throw some light on these concepts to you so that you will get familiar, okay, and understand some of the concepts related to this. So what some of the bonus concepts will be, like fiddler and hard file scripting, APM tools introduction, what is AppDynamics, okay, and its metrics to identify bottlenecks. We have 1 or 2 sessions on that. And then we have, I'll give you some information about CI/CD, Jenkins or GitHub, like what is CI/CD, what is Jenkins, what is GitHub, how it is related, how it is related to performance testing in the current performance testing world. Okay, why we are moving into this particular into this particular path. And then we'll trigger some scenarios. We'll trigger some LoadRunner scenarios from Jenkins. Okay, so these are all the Jenkins and GitHub are different tools. AppDynamics is a different tool. So these are all out of the box. But still, I want to give some information about these tools so that you will get more clarity about what you want to, what should be your aim going forward after learning this course. That's the reason. And we will be learning, I'll be taking one session on additional session on TrueClient protocol. Okay, then we will be having a discussion about thread dumps and heap dumps, which is very important. Okay, which is actually a part of performance engineering course, but I will explain you at a high level about what is this thread dump and heap dumps all about. Okay, and all those things. Along with this, you'll also be provided a recorded sessions for the web services. How do you test the performance of a web service like SOAP, XML or REST services, JSON, all these things? The recorded sessions will be provided to you guys. Okay, so these are the bonus topics what we will be discussing, what we will be providing to you as part of this course. Okay, now the time is to discuss about the Q&A. Now you can post your questions on the chat window, or you can directly ask the questions, like whatever the questions you have. It could be related to the course content, it could be related to the course duration, whatever it is. We just we will discuss now as part of Q&A. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
No, I'm asking like we need to learn Jmeter also, or LoadRunner is enough?
See, mastering one tool first, and then go for the other tool. Yes, in the current scenario, they are expecting us to have multi skills. See, that's the reason. Along with LoadRunner course, why I'm giving you some information about these different topics which are out of the box, which are nowhere related to the LoadRunner tool, right? So according to the current trend, we are discussing all this. Along with that, what you asked, should we learn Jmeter? Yes, but after learning one tool. Start with one tool. Once you master it, learn another tool. You trust me, you cannot learn both the tools at a time. It can never happen. If you are doing that way, trust me, you are not learning any tool 100%. You will learn only 30-40% of both the tools, where you still feel that you understand those tools, you still feel that you learn those tools, but when you go to interview, you will face problems because you are not mastering the tool. You are just learning the tool to some extent. So that's the reason, learn one tool once. You can start with Jmeter or you can start with LoadRunner. I'm not I'm not commenting on that. But start with one tool, master it, and then learn another tool. That's how it works. You cannot travel on the on two boats simultaneously. That will not give you.
Hi.
Yeah, tell.
Yeah, post my queries in chat window.
Sure, I'll address those questions.
Okay.
Anyone wants to ask the questions directly, or if you can ask through chat window also. Okay, so let me go through the questions in the chat window first quickly. What is Nidhi is asking, what is the difference between LoadRunner and Jmeter? Okay, as usual, good question. So LoadRunner is a licensed tool. First thing, LoadRunner is licensed tool, whereas Jmeter is a free tool, open source tool. Open source tool. LoadRunner is there in the market since ages. It's a benchmark tool in the performance testing world. When I say benchmark tool, it has the capabilities to address all the requirements of the client. Definitely. That's the reason it is a benchmark tool of the performance testing. One or two. Okay. Then third point is it is the only tool in the market which will support more number of protocols. When you say more number of protocols, generally, we have web applications, we have SAP applications, we have Citrix applications, we have some other protocols, we have different protocols. So it is the only tool in the market which will support more number of protocols. That is one thing. Then the other thing is, because it is licensed one, because it is coming from the vendor, we have a complete support from the vendor. For example, if you are stuck somewhere, or if the tool is not able to record your application, because you have the license for the tool, you will get a direct support from the vendor. Okay, that means the micro focus team, and they will help you in fixing the scripting related issues or whatever the issues related to the tool. Okay, that is one other aspect. Because it is from the vendor, it is from Micro Focus, and most of the banking and financial institutions, mainly most of the top banking and financial institutions, mainly they prefer important. They give more importance to their data. They give more importance to their data. They give more security importance to data. That's the reason they choose LoadRunner tool instead of Jmeter, because they don't want their data to be compromised, because Jmeter is open source tool, right? So they hesitate to use the tool because they don't want to use the tool as part of open source. That's the reason still most of the banking and financial institutions are still going with LoadRunner, okay, because they give more importance to their data. So all top banking and financial institutions, they definitely choose LoadRunner over other tools, considering the data security aspect. Okay, so these are the different reasons, advantages of using a LoadRunner. So Jmeter is also an open source tool. It also supports wide variety of protocols. That's there. Nowadays, it is emerging in the market. Okay, both are most widely used. LoadRunner and Jmeter both are most widely used tools in the market. If there is any client who cannot afford to purchase the license of LoadRunner, they might go with Jmeter. They might definitely go with Jmeter. For Jmeter, you will not get direct support. For Jmeter, you will not get direct support because it's open source. You cannot have direct support. Okay, everything you should base on, everything is based on some documentation or some open source forums, like open forums where you go and post your questions, you might get answer and so on. Okay, so that's the thing. It's a freeware, it's a licensed one. So that's the difference between the LoadRunner and Jmeter. But both are most widely used tools in the market. That is true. You learn one tool and master that tool and learn another tool. Okay, if you have multi skills, if you know multiple tools, definitely another advantage in the market. Okay, that is there. Are we using C language only? Yes. Okay, LoadRunner supports JavaScript also, but we will be using C language because as per my experience, whatever I have been seeing through so many years, all the projects use C language only. Irrespective of company, anything, they will use C language only for recording the script. The reason is it's there since ages, right? The support for the support. See, LoadRunner supports C language since its beginning. LoadRunner started supporting JavaScript since few years ago only. Because it supports C language since beginning, for every issue with respect to LoadRunner scripting or whatever it is, we have a solution for that. Mostly we will get a solution for that easily. So that's the reason we still stick to LoadRunner. However, we still stick to C language while recording. However, if you want to use JavaScript, you can use it. Okay, if you want, that is your personal. That is your personal. But we will be using C language only. Okay, because that is the mainstream supporting language for LoadRunner, and it is being used in all the companies now. Okay, so that's how it is. What will be the duration of this course? The number of sessions I can tell you, it will be like 35 to 40 sessions. Okay, it can be beyond that also, but minimum 35 to 40 sessions you will have for sure. Exactly, I cannot comment as of now, but maybe in a day or two I can give you a clear picture. Because what is happening is, let's say we started with interview topics discussion. Okay, initially we had a plan that to cover in 2 working days. So, but let's say all of you started asking so many interview questions. We all are discussing those interview questions. Seriously. Let's say you have so many questions still to discuss. We will extend those sessions. So that's the reason it can be like 30 or 35 to 40 or even more also.
Okay.
And every week from Monday to Friday we have sessions. Monday to Friday we have sessions. Okay, daily morning 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay, are we covering LoadRunner Cloud or SAP GUI? No. SAP GUI, that's a different protocol. That's a different protocol. We will be covering web protocol and in detail, because that for all the web applications we use web protocol, right? That's the most widely used protocol. So web protocol, I'm taking one session on True Client protocol also, and we are also providing a recorded sessions on the web services, right? So these are the protocols that we'll be covering. If you want to learn this SAP GUI, please reach out to Kumar sir. He will guide you for sure. Okay. So we have recorded sessions for SAP GUI also. Reach out to Kumar sir. He will definitely guide you. Okay. Okay. If anyone is interested on the whatever is these are asking SAP GUI, please reach out to Kumar sir. He is there in the group. Okay. He will address your question for that. Okay, he will guide you for sure. Can you share the PPT? Yes, I will share that PPT for the registered students. Okay, in a day or two for sure. I'll share it. I'll share the PPT for sure. Yes, Sohail. The course covers access tokens, session IDs, J session IDs. Okay, headers, web add headers. Okay, web add cookies. All these things will cover. That will be covered as part of scripting only, because scripting is very, very important. The first 2-3 weeks we will discuss about scripting only. Okay, everything will be covered.
Every IT company needs the LoadRunner.
See, it depends. It depends on client. It depends on client. On what basis? See, on what basis you want to go with LoadRunner? On what basis you want to go with other tool? It depends on the client. It depends on the POC that we do. Okay, in tomorrow's session, I guess, not tomorrow. I think day after tomorrow session, I guess, where we discuss about POC, proof of concept. I will explain you clearly on what basis, how we exactly do the proof of concept. Okay, let's say you got an application. Your manager told, hey, can you just analyze the application and with multiple tools and tell me which is the best tool? So what is our role in analyzing the tool, and how do we conclude which tool is better? Okay, we'll discuss in detail in a day or two. Okay, in a day or two.
Okay.
Toby, I will share this PowerPoint slide. Toby, all the PowerPoint, whatever the slides we are discussing daily, all these slides will be shared. Okay.
And that moving tool you shown, that also will get access.
Sorry.
Yeah, moving tool that you shown to script, record and all. So that we will get access for practice.
That tool will be installed in your machines. We will guide you how to install it. Okay. We will take one session on how to install that. So no worries. Yeah, we will provide you that. Yeah, we will try install the trial versions. No problem. Yeah. So one more thing.
Yeah, like
Tell me. Okay. Dilip is saying, okay, I have zero knowledge on coding. Will I be able to learn? Yes. See, this course is designed. Okay, this course is designed to meet the requirements of both IT and non-IT guys. So I know, I have been seeing this from some past many batches. So there are guys who join from non-IT background, and and this course is designed in such a way that it will target the audience from non-IT guys also, because I know it will take little bit more time to cope up for the non-IT guys. That's the reason every batch, okay, in the first weekend or second weekend of the course, okay, first weekend Saturday or second Saturday of the course, or okay, whatever, depending on our availability, I will be taking an additional session to all the non-IT guys. In fact, everyone can join. So that I will be explaining them the terms and terminologies of the performance testing, how actually performance testing works, what is the role of performance tester, what will be our day-to-day activities, how should you work in your project, okay, what are the different terms that you need to remember, okay, what are the different topics you need to go through. Everything I will explain them for non-IT students. In fact, everyone can join. There is no restriction. So that will happen on the first weekend or second weekend of the course. Okay, so it doesn't mean that the non-IT guys will be far behind. No, it's not like that. I'm seeing this since last many batches, and I'm sure as how the previous non-IT students progressed, I'm definitely confident that the current batch non-IT guys students will also progress quickly. Okay, I'm very much confident on that. So no need to worry. If you have zero knowledge in coding, take it as a challenge. Okay, let's spend little bit more time. Let's say if you are daily working on 1 hour, just spend half an hour more, so that you'll gain more confidence. You'll get more confidence. Okay, and get in touch with me whenever you have doubts. Ping me on WhatsApp immediately. I will reply you. I'll call you back. Okay, I will guide you. Okay. Yeah, I will be providing you complete support. Like when I say support, when you practice, when you are facing issues, just ping me on WhatsApp. I will share. I'm there in the group. At the same time, I will also share my number in the WhatsApp group later. Okay, so that you can reach out to me anytime for any technical or scripting issues.
okay.
Ravella, no, in your laptop only. In your laptop only you can practice. The software will be installed, right? So in your laptop will be in your laptop you can practice, and in the live when I explain, please practice the same in your laptop, and all the recorded sessions will be provided to you on day-to-day basis. So let's say today morning we have one session. By today afternoon you will get the recorded session. So it will be there with you for lifetime. So whenever you want, you can go through that session again and again. Okay, let's say after 1 year you want to revise all the concepts, you can revise again, because you will have those sessions with you forever.
Okay. Like it is not too difficult, right? It is normal only.
No, it's not difficult. You will see, right? See, just now I just recorded 3 steps. It is easy only, right? It's not that complex.
So
Yeah.
like
So only thing
in
is,
office also we have to do that only.
sorry, your voice is low actually. Can you explain?
No,
Can
no,
you ask the
I'm
question
asking
again?
like we have to do the testing like that only, right?
Yes, we have to record the script. Testing we didn't do actually completely. We just recorded the script.
Okay.
Testing is something different. There are different things we have to look into it. Just a demo session, right? So it's a course
Okay,
we'll
fine.
discuss in detail. Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, Toby, good question. Can we use any laptop or is there any specific? So if you want to install the latest software, the 2020 or 21 version of LoadRunner, trial version, whatever it is, you need to have 8 GB of RAM, 8 GB of RAM in your machine. Okay, minimum of 8 GB of RAM in your machine, and Windows 10 will be a good option. Okay, 8 GB of RAM. If you have 4 GB of RAM, it is not currently supporting the latest version. Okay, so please check whether you have 8 GB of RAM or not.
No. If it's not 8 GB RAM, it will not work in the laptop.
The latest version will not work. You need to try and install the previous older versions like 12.3, 12.6, which we have been using, maybe two years ago or something like that. So I don't want you to do
Then
that. I want you to use the latest version.
Excuse me, I have one question. Like when we search for LoadRunner, we see like LoadRunner Cloud is there, Professional is there, Enterprise is there. So what is actually the difference between these three?
So enterprise is something what we will be learning. Okay, cloud is something like where you have these load generator machines in the cloud. Okay, where you upload scripts in, where we will trigger the execution from cloud machines and so on. Okay, the two things. When you say cloud, let me open the notepad here. When you say cloud, there are two things. Cloud in sense, first thing is your application is in cloud. The application what you are going to test is in cloud. This is different aspect. Second thing is that the performance testing, the load generator machines, is in cloud. Cloud machines use. That means the machines which will simulate the users which will execute, those are in cloud. Cloud in sense some other location, some other remote machines. Okay, cloud machines. So these are two things. So I think the point which you raised is this one. So currently we are targeting LoadRunner Enterprise. Okay, so if you have some machines in the cloud, okay, we can still do that. I will try to get some access of cloud machine. I'll try to cover this also. Let me try and check whether if I can get some access of some cloud machines and share, take a session on this also for you. I'll definitely give you input on this, but you understood the difference, right? Your application being on cloud and you actually testing the going for the performance testing in cloud is something different. If your application is in cloud that means your application servers, like what your application will, the developers will develop the application and they will place the code in some server, right? That servers are in cloud. That is different. This is different thing. Okay. So when I say cloud, you might be having that. They might be placing their code in some cloud tools like AWS, like Azure, something like that. Right? This is hard. This is something like we have something like Storm Runner provided by Micro Focus only, which will help us in triggering the execution from cloud machines and so on. So I will try to gather some info, take some session on that also as a bonus topic. So, but what we are actually targeting is the LoadRunner Enterprise. Okay, let me take other questions also. What is the other question here? Yeah. Yes, 35 to 40 days course as discussed. Yeah, all the PPTs, whatever we will be discussing, I will share. And when we start scripting, day-to-day scripts, whatever we develop, right, that scripts also I will share, so that you can refer it while practicing at your place.
Hi, which version we gonna be using?
2021. LRE, LoadRunner Enterprise 2021.
I mean that one 12.53 something like that. Right?
No. 12.53 is older version. We used long back, 3-4 years back. We used not 4-5 years
Okay.
back. We used 12.6 also. We used long 2-3 years back. Now we are using the enterprise edition 2020, 2021, 2022 like that. So
Okay.
LRE 2020, last year we stopped using this. Last year mid, I guess. So after that we are using LRE 2021. So in next 2-3 months we are getting LRE 2022 also. So there won't be any major changes in 2020, 2021, 2022 with respect to our scripting and all. But there are some good features that they add. Okay. So that doesn't make much difference. If you know 2020, that's fine. If you know 2021, that's fine. No problem. Okay. So let me tell me.
Will the actual sessions be on this GoToMeeting, or it will be like Teams or Zoom?
No, it will be on GoToMeeting only.
Okay.
So the admin team will share you the GoToMeeting URLs or the links. Okay. So you need to join through GoToMeeting.
So when the session will start?
Mostly it should start from tomorrow only, but you will get that information in couple of hours in the WhatsApp group.
Okay. And when we will get that application to install, like this LoadRunner and
By Monday, because once today is Thursday, right? So tomorrow Friday, again we have session on Monday, right? So by Monday, we will be rigorously start our sessions, right? So once we complete this theoretical session, so initially as part of our course content, if you see, we have some theoretical sessions at the starting. So once you complete these theoretical sessions, we begin this introduction to LoadRunner. Maybe in 3-4 days or 4-5 days, we will we'll try to cover this installation and all these things.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, I have a follow-up question.
Yes, please.
So it's regarding the tokens that I asked earlier. As far as we're concerned for Web2's application, we have session ID when we are recording the script, but in real projects, we are not we will be having access tokens, refresh tokens that need to be added into the web add headers, and then we generate the script, right? So if the course is going to be on Web2's application, how will we be having a real-time experience on those kind of projects?
No, if you observe clearly in the course content, I have mentioned clearly that scripting practice on 5 different applications. So WebTours is not something that we practice. WebTours, we are just trying to understand the concept. For example, if let's say there is some concept called checkpoints. So we might use, I'm not again guaranteeing, we may or we may not use WebTours for understanding that concept. But once you master each topic, okay, either it could be on WebTours or it could be another application. Once you master all the topics of scripting, then we will be practicing scripting on various applications, like including the real-time applications like Isha Training Solutions.com only. We have our own application which is specifically designed for performance testing. Okay, where whatever the question you asked, that simple question of passing a session ID in web add header and all these things, that is actually covered as part of our course while practicing on multiple applications. So WebTools is just a sample which where we can practice to understand the concept. It's not practicing a real-time application. So once you master each of the concepts what we have, we will discuss, we will practice the complete concepts. All the concepts we'll put together. We will practice scripting on multiple applications again. So when you practice on multiple applications again, every application has a different challenge, right? So whatever the question you ask, it is already in place, and it is part of one of the application for us. So not only that, there are different challenges to us. Okay, there are different challenges, different scripting challenges we have to address. So once we once we start practicing on other multiple applications, we will address all your questions what you mentioned.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope I answered all of your questions, and let me stop recording, and let me thank you everyone for joining this session.